how about that? Yeah,
We're
look
on
at
air.
that. We're back at it again.
Yeah, man.
What about that?
Nice to see you guys. Hope you guys are like happy to hear from us and shit.
I mean, yeah, we've been off the air for a while, kind of just like doing our own stuff. I mean, you started a new job there, so also
you done a bit
working
of traveling.
Yeah, took a bit of time off, which was nice.
Yeah.
Now we're both working for the Chinese government, so that's pretty cool. You know,
I sort of am not, but in a dip. I'm technically working in the private sector, but then our main clients are the government, and in China, that's pretty much inseparable from working for the government.
We're both spies trying to infiltrate the West. We're both brainwashed by the Chinese government and people on Reddit.
Yeah, want to talk shit about us, man.
Yeah,
Keep on fucking talking shit about us, you know.
We'll openly admit it.
Real life, I'll go see you on the street. I'll fucking headbutt you and bottle you, man. Like,
we know kung fu because we've been brainwashed.
Yeah,
so.
man. Fucking talking shit about us on the blogs. Okay, no, we're fucking
literal Manchurian candidates now. Except that was. Anywho, it's good to be back.
Yeah.
It's good to be back. Today we're talking about a topic that we don't normally talk about. It's not really centered around it, but we're talking about China. You know, like, we've been, or at least this is how I see it, like, we haven't talked or delved into China just because, like, everybody's done it.
Yeah.
Everybody's,
good point.
There's like two different types of vloggers or podcasters that are just like, there's the one type, the older expat who's been here forever and just like
old hand, the China hand.
The old China hand. They go really the Lao Wai. They go into depth about China and, you know,
go to a Shaolin temple.
They go really in depth with it, you know. Yeah. They're always talking about like multifaceted issues and have a good following. Then there's the other kind, like but I'd like to think of them as Marco Polo Seinfelds that just like come to China.
That's a combination I never thought I would like hear.
I mean, no, it's possible here, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they come to China and they just think that they're Marco Polo and they're on this like adventure that nobody else has seen before, and they're just like, but like instead of being like Marco Polo, they're just like Seinfeld. They're just like, what's up with the traffic? Am I right? What's up with the bathrooms here? And it's just like, this is the two levels of vloggers.
Yeah, they find themselves buying like street food at like, you know, a vendor around the corner from their house, and they're like, this is so Chinese, this is what it's about, man. Oh my gosh.
4,000 likes.
Fucking take a random pic, like, you know, of them outside of like, you know, Chinese barbecue spot with their like, you know, e-bike with the like suns setting, like, oh, China life, beautify it, fucking Instagram, share that shit.
Hashtag wanderlust, hashtag wanderer.
Yeah.
Expat.
Yeah.
But it, you know, so they use an app here called Wechat. It's just like, it's WhatsApp combined with, like, it's your whole life basically.
Exactly.
You don't need anything else except WeChat here. It's your bank card. It's like Twitter kind of.
And talking about WeChat, it's, you know, similar to WhatsApp in terms of you've got groups. You know, the group chat as we call it with WhatsApp. But the difference with WeChat, in terms of just my impression, is a lot of the group chats in WhatsApp are usually with like. They're usually more intimate and personal. They're with like your friends. Whereas with WeChat, these groups are more like public platforms almost. You can have WeChat groups ranging from 20 people to 200 people to 500 people. There's a 500 user limit on it, and there are many groups that reach that number, and they're all engaging and chatting in these groups at the same time, so they kind of serve as like unknowingly as like mini public platforms, wouldn't you say?
Exactly. Yeah, this is the focus of our discussion today, which is just like our observations about particularly white Americans, white Westerners, even
Yeah.
in these group chats, and more specifically about this political group chat that we were in.
So there was this
You know, so
political
like
group chat. Yeah.
yeah, this political group chat, and well, I mean, we had discussions, but like one thing recently happened that
Yeah.
set you off there, Tim. What?
Yeah. So like,
What happened on your end? How do you see it?
So like going into, I guess before we delve into what happened, we'll give you a bit of background on this political group chat.
Yeah.
But it was essentially this WeChat group. It's been going on in one shape or form for about 2.5 years, quite a long time.
Wow.
And what would happen is, you know, people would disband from one group and start up another one with some of the like previous members. So it's always been around in one shape or form.
It was like Germany. It was just
yeah, fucking like what, like 4 times in 1 century, like Weimar Republic, Nazi Germany,
so like
West Germany /
hyperinflation.
East Germany, and then Germany. We see now, yes.
Dude, hyperinflation really killed the last group though. Like it just really just fucked everything up.
Yeah, too many members. But then, you know, like essentially this group was just a, you know, political discussion group where we just, you know, chat about whatever. And for one reason or another, it became a group that many of us got kind of, you know, absorbed into. It was something where unknowingly we found ourselves like each day talking and using it regularly. Like it was something we regularly interacted with each other consistently for a very long time. So it kind of reached a point where we kind of got to know each other. We were familiar with each other's views. We had different things that we were learning from each other. We were able to kind of like debate topics and then a few months later see their development and then look back at it and go like, oh, remember you said this or remember this or that. And
got screenshots on you, like
yeah. And it was just, you know, a long time thing going. And recently, in this group, there was an incident. And now, with this incident, it was the first time in a whole 2.5 years that something of this nature had happened, which was somebody, a member of the group, just openly racially insulted me. And in a way that was kind of like unprovoked. So essentially what happened was this happened about a month ago when the story concerning the Chinese girl, the Korean American lady who's now on the New York Times board or something of that sort.
Editorial board, yeah. What's her name?
Elaine something, and
that's how big of a story it is, you know. Like that's how much the world cares about it, you know. But anywho.
But yeah, you know, somebody posted up the pictures of her different tweets. And they posted up pics with a white person saying it. And I responded by going, oh, you know, this is like racist. I think it was of a white person saying it about black people. But like somebody changed the wording slightly to change white to black in her tweets. I said this was racist. And then the person was like, oh, gotcha. This person was actually saying about a white person.
Dang.
And then
we got you now, Tim.
Yeah. And then like, you know, when that was the case, you know, even then I was like, I don't know, I had to have my moment where I was like, yeah, you know, kind of welcome to my world. Welcome to like the situation. Welcome to what it is for most non-whites most of the time of their whole life. But even with that, you know, I did concede and I was like, oh, yeah, that was kind of disgusting, those words, what she said, like the way she spoke about white people with no kind of like context or clarification concerning it. It just wasn't nice. Like
that's the weirdest thing though. Like nobody's denying that what she said was just like horrible. If they see it without context or whatever, or, like without explanation, like yeah, they're pretty freaking dreadful comments to make, you know, like what kind of person makes that? That's what you want. But this guy, so like he's the one who brought this up. We're calling him the worried wasp.
It was Neo. It was Neo. Yeah.
Neo brought this up, but then that transpired. Of course, Neo's always like triggering arguments like this, just like trying to drum up victimhood for white people.
Yes, yep, exactly.
You know, like, oh, white people have it so rough. Some person was mean about them on Twitter.
Yeah.
So then this worried wasp guy chimed in.
Yeah.
And I'll just say it, like, he called you the N-word there.
The words that she said were, like, hateful and wrong. And I, myself, I haven't thought to speak about white people like that, to say like white people are pieces of shit, for example. That's fucking disgusting.
No,
and
right.
I disavow anyone who makes those type of comments and those generalizations. That is like terrible. And that's the thing. The most interesting thing is, like, sometimes the first people who will, a lot of the time when it comes to racism, the first people who will disavow it and actually be by your side to fight with you, a lot of the time, I don't want to like be funny or anything, aren't necessarily gonna be, it's usually gonna be like actually like black people and other people of color.
Yeah,
because we understand
racism, and,
you know, we understand the feeling and how it feels to be treated that way, and we don't want to see others experience that. So, you know, I kind of like let my position be known about how I felt about that. But then, you know, on the other hand, I kind of felt like I got like Tim was saying, Neo and some of the other members in the group, such as the Worried Wasp, you know, they're kind of, you know, they're part of this group of people who feel that they feel like in today's day and age, being a white male
is a crime. It's like
that's what they actually
absolutely
believe. They believe that because nowadays people of color or people who aren't white males feel more confident in calling them out on certain shit that for the longest of times they've been getting away with, which isn't necessarily becoming of them. They feel like they're public enemy number one, and that, you know, like you're saying, Tim, the biggest crime is to be a white male, and you are the most hated, and everywhere you go, when you're interacting with other people, you need to watch what you're saying, you need to be careful of what happens, you're worrying that you're gonna, I don't know, like, there's a certain worry and just paranoia surrounding the fact that everybody's out to get white males.
And that, well, so you didn't like take that side, which really like got Worried Wasp even more frantic and you know, worried, because you're not taking the side that the white male is going to become extinct somehow. He said this knowingly to one of you were the only black person left in that group.
Yep.
He said this to somebody who was the only black person in this group. He wasn't saying it to like a white person or something. He wasn't using that language around his fellow soon to be extinct comrades. Like, he was saying this to one of the only black member of the group. Which is just ridiculous in the first place, that this discussion about how whites are being treated unfairly is taking place, and then all of a sudden, like, he does the same thing, but he had no remorse for it. He was just like, no, that's it, I'm done. Or like, he was fine. He got kicked from the group eventually, but like, you know, he didn't apologize for it. In his eyes, he did nothing wrong, and that's even worse. That's the fucking And
that's the craziest thing, because it was largely unprovoked. Like, I wasn't saying anything racist towards him. I was just saying, I'm not buying your bullshit about, you know, the white males becoming the victim, and, you know, the whole sentiment, according to different polls carried out in the USA, which states that, like, most white people believe that white people are victims of racism as much as, if not more, than black people or other people of color. I simply do not agree with that. I just don't agree with that, and I think there's a lot of people who will. I know that's a discussion for another time, but it's just difficult to have grounding with that accusation in my mind. But then he openly said he does believe that. You know, this Worried Wasp. You know, that's where it led to him, you know, just openly out of nowhere calling me a dumb nigger. And you know, again, it just came out of nowhere. It was unprovoked. I wasn't being racist towards him. You know, it was just like a low blow, and it was kind of like, you know, a cheap shot. And when it happened, surprise, surprise, like, barely anyone was kind of like there to sort of call this person out, whatever.
Exactly, right. Like, it
exposed certain aspects of, like,
slow.
the group members that we thought we'd known so well.
You know, and like, props to you for staying in that group that long and putting up with all of this bullshit, because it would frequently be posted stuff about, like, race realism and stuff, and like how black people are just dumber than white people, and so like that's why
that was a favorite subject of Neo.
It
Neo
was
used to always
yeah,
talk
Neo,
about like IQ.
Neo would love he
He used to obsess over that about the
fucking
bell curve and the
and-
IQ and
No, of
how
course.
it's a sort of thing of there are some people are born smarter than others, and because of that
That's
there's a
why
natural order.
Yeah, the
And-
racial hierarchies exist because of the IQ and
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where, like, I think there is actually, I don't know, recent studies have shown that apparently IQ to some small degree is actually inherited, but then they also argue that, like, just like how just like how the IQ of your parents can help you have a high IQ, regular schooling, reading, fucking a healthy diet, going out to like fucking different events, experiencing different cultural activities. Like there are, a lot of other variables that play a part in that intelligence.
Oh, exactly.
It's kind of like and even it's just like, where is the grounding in this? But again, the type of people who kind of latch onto that race realism thing are usually people who are insecure about themselves.
Right.
They want to like talk about,
Right.
oh, I'm naturally intelligent in this way, so even if I haven't necessarily earned my spot, it's gonna come sooner or later. Or
that
it's
entitlement of
something wrong with society.
Right, we'll get into that that bit about solipsism later, and
Yes,
particularly about neo-solipsism.
Okay.
But
Well, let's start with go on.
you're with WeChat here because we're living in this world that's a we have this major medium of just like all of these expats in one place just communicating through the same means. We're experiencing a lot of what beliefs get enforced and reinforced in China as a foreigner, and particularly as a white foreigner. Like when you come here as a white person, you're given the world basically. You're given so much. You're told how handsome you are. You can get away with murder basically here. That kind of, well, not so much, but you can slip up in a lot of ways and still you can still have a good job, great social life. All of those perks that come with it, and have what's called like a white monkey job, which is something else entirely. You essentially get paid just for being white. It's one of these jobs that foreigners get here, and so like you get these conservatives who come over here already with the notions, either implicitly or explicitly, that white people are superior, and then they come here and they experience this like weird. It's not white superiority. It's really not. Chinese people don't believe that white people are more superior. Of course, maybe like more beautiful or something because they hold them to Western standards. They have a lot of Western beauty standards, for example. So that might come out, but it's certainly not that white people are more superior. But that's how it's interpreted by a lot of these, especially hard-headed conservatives with those
hospitality is
explicit, implicit.
For appreciation.
No, exactly. Right. It's mistook. It's taken the wrong way to make this person think that like, oh yeah, it's because white people are superior. That's why they're treating me so well, not because
they're just
of another
very hospitable
reason.
peoples, like China in general.
Exactly. Yeah. No, that's true too. Yeah.
Yeah, this country, and it's not perfect, and I have my gripes with it. But one thing I will say is that Chinese people, with regards to like foreigners and non-Chinese, are generally quite friendly and quite hospitable in terms of like they really do welcome you to their country, and they want to make sure that you leave their country with the best impression because of their pride and love for being Chinese. Because China is a rich country, a country with a rich culture, heritage, and history, and they hold pride in that, and they kind of highlight that in their treatment. They want you to get the best impression of it.
And a lot of these guys who come here, they get it emboldened, they get it drilled in their head that like, oh, this is because I'm superior. A lot of these guys that we talk to in this group chat, they're second, third tier cities, like smaller cities in China.
Yeah.
which a small city in China is just like a normal city in the West, but you know, it's a smaller pool of foreigners that they might interact with, and they're probably mostly white.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if there is like a good mixed population, say if there's like a college there or something,
Yeah.
where a lot of foreign students from say Africa or other parts of Asia might study at.
Before we do get into like going back on like the example in terms of like essentially what we're like talking about is whether implicit or explicit, like Tim stated, there's this notion of white supremacy, and then they come over to China, and for them they feel that it's validated in the treatment that they get, and part of that is like, for example, I guess the best example is the terms beautiful and handsome in China. You have to realize that these terms are used quite often. For example, normally if you introduce your girlfriend to somebody, that's the first thing they'll usually say.
No, exactly.
She's
yeah,
beautiful.
yeah. Just even if you're just talking to a random person and you're with your girlfriend, they'll be like, "Oh, she's really beautiful."
Yeah, yeah.
You know, it's just like a nice comment. It's not crossing the line like it would be in the West.
Yeah,
where it's just like it might come off as creepy. Like, what are you trying to say? Why are you creeping up on my girlfriend?
That's true,
like,
and that's partly because like it doesn't. It's just kind of an offhand compliment. It doesn't actually really mean much.
Yeah.
You know, case in point, in Chinese, the term used to describe a young man is 帅哥.
Yeah.
帅哥means
like,
literally means handsome brother.
Handsome older brother.
Yeah, handsome older brother, but it's just a term used to describe young people. It's just a polite way of describing young people.
Right.
So a lot of the time, when people here in China say that you're beautiful or handsome, a lot of the time they're just being polite. They're just saying it to say it because they think it's something nice to say, and you know it will make you feel, you know, it will like butter you up. It's more of a politeness than like anything really genuine. So then, for example, you may have like white women who will come here and maybe they're not the greatest looking in their own country, or they don't feel they are, but then, you know, they'll just get told by Chinese people, "Oh, you're beautiful, or you're so beautiful." And again, remember, it's just an offhand compliment. It's not necessarily genuine. But if you're being constantly told that by people, and they're saying, "Look at your blonde hair," and "Look at this or that," you know, what does that reinforce? Right.
Right, and going back on how the beauty of standards here are influenced by the West, like the double eyelid is a big thing where like you're beautiful if you have a double eyelid, and high nose bridge. I don't know how to describe that, but like a tall nose that comes off of your area between your eyes. That I don't know how to describe that, but anyways, like, you know, stuff like that normal Westerners have is considered beautiful here. So you can be like a 5.5 back home and come here and be a good 7.5, maybe an 8.
Yeah.
You know, and that makes people, especially these white men who come here and are just like, they feel like they're swarmed and pussy, and they just come here and they're just like, "Oh my God, yes," and their ego gets stroked a bit, and, you know, that goes down into that like either explicit or implicit idea of white superiority. So that just gets like stroked instant. To be honest, man, it hit me, but like for some reason that's beyond me, I didn't think that it was just like white superiority. I just thought that I was handsome. Just like, yeah, I'm a good looking motherfucker.
No.
Like,
you may also be handsome, but then you just have to remember that, like, the.
But I'm a tall motherfucker too. You know,
so. You may be handsome, but you have to remember that, like, the compliments and the attention will be tenfold compared to what you'd get back in your country.
Of course,
So maybe if you walk back into a club at home, you get 1 or 2 girls giving you the looks.
Right.
But here, there might be like 4 or 5, or you might have, you know, back at home, you might have the odd person say, "Oh, he's a handsome young guy." Whereas here, they're like, everyone's saying, "You're so handsome, you're so handsome, you're so handsome." So it kind of gets it's
buying
boosted.
you drinks and stuff, and like, No, it's true. Like it'll happen. It definitely does.
So then,
people can take it the wrong way.
But then, you know, speaking about that, so like we're saying, you know, you may have some of these like people from these more kind of traditional conservative backgrounds who come to China and they're treated in a certain way, which makes them feel like them being white is, you know, it counts for something. them being white alone counts for something clearly, because they're here in China, particularly English teachers, in terms of like they're just a native English speaker, and there's certain jobs and positions that are available to them just because they're white, and the Chinese company needs a white face to, like, you know, give it some air of legitimacy. You know, so like it boosts up the white supremacy idea. But on the other hand, you have this contrasting situation, because despite what you may think, or you know what, to be fair, expat crowds, the expat community in most major cities across the world are generally quite mixed, right?
No, it's true. Right. Surprisingly mixed, especially here in China, you know. I never thought that I'd be like hanging out in a bar in Qingdao, just taking tequila shots, and everybody around me was speaking Swahili. Like, what a fucking random situation to be in. Like, damn, never thought, like, that wouldn't have happened back home in the fucking burbs. Like, no.
Burbs of Colorado.
You know, it just happens here, and it's just like a normal thing. And of course, you have all these white English teachers, and in the first place, they're already stunned by the whiteness factor, like the superiority hidden them in the wrong way.
Yeah.
So, you know, they'll try to recreate what they had back home as well. You know, like they'll try to be like, oh yeah, this is
what
my
they
life.
felt they should have had back home.
Oh
like
no, exactly,
well.
right. So like hanging out with a predominantly white crowd, speaking English, you know, like just normal stuff, going to the pub, just trying to keep it back at home, except it's not. You're in a country that's 99.99999% Chinese, or like 90. What I don't even know the percentage of Han Chinese.
Like 90%, but then
90% Han Chinese.
But they come to grasp with that because they understand they're in China. But then there's the expat crowd, like Tim was saying. The expat crowd, like many expat crowds across the world, especially in today's day and age, is, you know, quite mixed. In China, in most of the bigger cities, like your Beijings, your Shanghais, your Shenzhens, your Guangzhous, your Qingdaos. These places, in terms of the expat crowd, are quite mixed. You can walk into any bar and it's going to be fairly mixed. Even it's difficult to find a bar or a spot where you're just going to have exclusively white people. That's not. And it's not. You have to really actively seek that out.
Oh man, that would be a quest.
You know,
especially in Beijing, like finding a white.
Look at the bar we just came from. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like, we just came from a bar before coming here. We're absolutely sober, you know, of course. But
feeling fresh.
You know, while we were on the way there, I think we saw on the same street as we were on the way there, we saw like a black person with a Middle Eastern friend. And once we entered the bar, there was a black couple. There was myself, who's black. Then there was towards the end, the Middle Eastern guy, remember, by the bar.
Yeah, like the manager or something, Middle Eastern.
So in terms of like the expat crowd in that situation, just at this random bar in Beijing, China, my friend Tim was the only white guy. You know, so you get this antagonistic force in the way that you've got, you know, maybe this white conservative who has been raised in a kind of environment where, like, it's like the suburbs and, like, you know, American flags are like waving everywhere, and they have a certain notion of what it means to be American, and subconsciously or consciously what it means to be white. On a shallow level, that's reinforced here in China, but then they go out to their expat spots in terms of their local bar and different restaurants and different expat community events, and then they find themselves in environments where they're having to interact increasingly with non-white people who don't look like them or think like them. I think I was mentioning this to Tim before when we had a conversation where we went, even when you keep a circle, you know, maybe within your circle everybody looks and thinks like you, but there's always other people, non-white people, or, you know, people who don't look and think like you on the periphery of your circle, because there's just so many. It's just so mixed. You can't avoid it. Whether it's in your workplace, at the bar, at your fucking local table tennis team, I don't fucking know. It
like
can't be as isolated.
Guys, they have Chinese wives, So they have Chinese wives, Chinese girlfriends, Chinese mixed race babies. So like it's inescapable. You can't, like your wife's family is,
There's
at
also
the
that.
periphery. It's very inescapable. That's for sure.
Yep. And I think like those different things, whether it's like their family, like their in-laws and their Chinese family, and how they may feel alienated from them, and in turn they they seek, a sense of belonging in like whether it's the alt-right or conservatism, even more so. But on the other hand, they're in an environment where they're kind of surrounded by people who have views and may challenge their way of thinking. So I think, on the one hand, that could challenge your way of thinking and it can cause you to change and adapt. But on the other hand, some people decide to, double down and, become even more stuck in their ways as a defense mechanism to what they feel is a threat in terms of these people who don't look like them surrounding them and in what they feel is their space. For example, Obama became president. It was he's another politician. Let's not spend too much time on him, but his ethnicity and him being the first black president, it was a situation where it was indicative of the times in terms of America's increasingly becoming non-white, and increasingly more so, a lot of those non-whites aren't satisfied or content with just being the ones cleaning the rooms of the office or being the janitors or being in the lowly positions. They are going for they're going for it. They are increasingly occupying influential roles and positions of power and affecting change. And on the one hand, when Obama became president, you had people who embraced it and, were proud of that moment in terms of like showing that it's only in America where this can happen. And then you got other people who doubled down and, became even more set in their way. And this is where you saw the hate groups rise in the numbers. You saw Donald Trump find the perfect opportunity to start to expand the birtherism movement.
His weird
this
obsession with
racism doubled down when he was president, because it's like, it's this black man in your face.
Yeah,
it's this black man in your face. He can't shut up and dribble, like you said before.
No,
he can't shut up and dribble.
Right.
They're not in the back. They're not like this kind of afterthought from a music video. They're in your face. They're making decisions that affect you. They are.
Yeah, Trayvon Martin could have been his kid.
Yeah,
like all of that. Like
exactly, they're at the table with you.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah, and so like in this WeChat group, we saw it go into this like subconscious defense mechanism where it was just all bent on finding just white people, even if they disagreed with you. It was just like predominantly white people in this group, white males especially.
Yeah,
white Western males. That held views that were at least like somehow coherent, and if they weren't, they might have got pushed out. But members of the minority races that questioned that. There was the guy, and I think it was from the UK as well. We didn't come up with a fancy name for him. I kind of forgot to bring this up, but he like pissed off all of the conservative guys because he was like actively questioning them, calling them out, like calling them racist, but doing a bit more than that, He was going above and beyond and just like utterly destroying these people's positions.
Big black man.
Did you say thick black man?
I don't speak that way, but
thick man. Dude is thick.
the big black. I mean, that's not the best term to use.
Fucking Samuel L. motherfucking Jackson.
Yes, Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson like came in there. He had his kick-ass wallet, or was that?
Samuel L. Jackson is basically this like successful businessman in Shanghai who's doing his shit.
Yeah, man.
And he comes up and they can't comprehend that type of person not looking like them and doing that shit.
The only thing that they could do was just like kick him out, like, or if it was like a reasonable person, like, you know, Boss Ben, they had to like really get him on something, like, oh, he's bullying us or something, you know, like.
Yeah.
But again, it was like this subconscious safe space that got built up. And,
yes, very much so.
you know, when they found somebody like you or Samuel L. Jackson, they were just like, oh no, my whiteness is being criticized here. I can't.
Yeah.
But meanwhile, you know, we have the outliers like Neo.
Yes.
For example, he's like the Dinesh D'Souza of the group. We won't say where he's from, or where his family's from, rather, but he was very in favor of all of this, like, God, alt-right, red pill, black pill, like...
the great replacement bullshit theory.
Oh, right,
yeah. Like the whole idea of, like, you know, because, I mean, it is kind of happening into, like, America, UK.
Some people see that as a bad thing, and it's just weird, you know. It's just,
you know, where the demographics are changing,
no
and
more
it's like,
mayonnaise over.
You know, the demographics are changing, and you know what? To some extent, for like older generations, like I'm from the UK, and there's been moments where I've heard older people talk about how their areas completely changed in terms of the ethnicity and the culture.
Everybody's speaking
and
Mexican
the traditions. And from their perspective, I can understand it. You know, to have such a drastic change in your lifetime is kind of difficult to comprehend. Mm-hmm. But then, you know, at the same time, I feel like I can see the gripes that people may have with those changes. But I feel like, yeah, we need to have an honest conversation with that and figure out what direction we want to go in concerning all of that. But at the same time, just to quickly say, at the same time, like, you can't call that white genocide. I'm sorry. You called it many other things, but you can't call it white genocide. That's an insult to all the victims of genocide.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You can't call people voluntarily entering your borders and doing jobs and paying taxes, just for the most part being like regular civilians.
Where are the gas chambers?
You know,
where are the shooting fields?
You know, voluntarily starting up families with, you know, white people, or, you know, actually assimilated into your country and wanting to be British. You can't call that white genocide.
No,
I'm sorry.
No, absolutely. Oh, God. Well, so we're calling this guy Neo because, like, he represents all of this solipsism. This weird type of mentality where this person thinks that he is the shit. He is the main character of a video game. Yeah. And everything around him is just like code. We'll just be frank. Like, this guy could not get laid. He got so built up because he felt like he was so entitled to this because he's the main character of the video game. And all of the NPCs were not putting out for him, and so like that's just who he was. He was stuck in this like weird Matrix video game where he thought that he was fucking Neo. He was like the Messiah, and it ties into this bigger macrocosm of just solipsistic thinking, whereas you have white people who just honestly believe that the white race, white males, are the main protagonists of this weird fucking video game, and everything else is just like a hallucination almost, a code. Nothing more than that. Or
like a minor obstacle, kind of like a first stage boss.
No,
like
exactly.
You beat that first stage boss, and then the later levels they come along as a regular character. And you're like, oh,
they're Bowser.
Shoot.
Oh yeah. They already got the new level armor and shit, you know. But you know, like, no, and it just happens so much on internet dialogue and everything. It's just Neos are everywhere, man.
And when you talk about the term solipsism, I don't know if I'm the best person to kind of elaborate on it or try to give a definition, but like, you know, this is not a literal definition, but someone who's a solipsist, I guess it, you know, ties in with like a real narcissist, actual narcissist. So I've noticed that term narcissism. Everybody says they're a narcissist because they think that like they take a couple pictures of themselves and they're acting a bit vain and they think that they're suddenly a narcissist, but narcissism goes beyond that. Narcissism is like a fucking mental illness. And it ties into solipsism, where it's like, you know, this belief that you are the only person that exists. Or, you know, in more practical terms, you're the only person or people or your group is the only thing that matters.
Right, we kind of extend it. So, like, it's the whole idea that the universe only exists for you. Like, you're the center of the universe, literally. And then, we extend it to racial solipsism. Like, your race is the only... And this could be a larger group psychology. Like, your nation is the center of the universe. Your country exists only because, but...
Greatest country in the world. Who says they're the greatest country in the world? Hint, hint.
Fucking Bangladesh, dude.
Yeah,
it's just damn Bangladeshians.
When we're talking about this idea of solipsism and like macro solipsism in terms of your group of people, the best example of it that I experienced in that group, in terms of I or my group of people are the only ones who exist, or in practical terms of matter, was when we were talking about Trump's tax cuts. And I simply stated that Trump reduced corporate taxes by 40%. And there was a guy in the group who's like an old MAGA man. He's in this situation where, like, a lot of men, not a lot of men, but enough men, he's somewhat been wronged. He got divorced by his wife.
Two wives or some shit.
Yeah, and he ended up having to pay them child support, and he's having to do all this, shit, because to some extent courts... Some people say that the courts are biased towards the mother and, like, it can be abused. And, maybe he's been wronged in that sense. And because of that, he holds on to it. And it allows him to become bitter and just mad and frustrated and just angry and cold. And that is kind of what this person is. He's he's an older man, so he's also stuck in his ways. But then this really illustrated it well, because Trump reduced corporate taxes from, I think, 35% to 21%. So that's 14 percentage points, but relatively speaking, that's actually 40%. Okay? If you have $100 and you pay $100 on 35% tax in 2016, and then you pay $100 on 21% tax in 2017, how much in terms of money paid in tax has it fallen by? You only arrive at one number, and that's 40%. I was trying to explain it to him. I told him Trump cut corporate tax by 40%. He went, "You don't fucking know what you're talking about. What do you know? You just studied this at school. I worked at a fucking trading desk for 2 years. I mean, for how many years? You don't know what you're talking about." And I literally showed him the fucking calculations.
He worked on Wall Street, so you don't know anything. I think,
Well, apparently he worked on Wall Street.
He was a Wall Street solipsist.
Yeah, apparently he worked on Wall Street, but I don't know, if he did, I don't know how this got past him. And no matter what we showed him, no matter in terms of me trying to show him the different approaches to working it out and the logic and the workings, he wouldn't accept it. He wouldn't accept that Trump cut corporate tax by 40%. Not 40 percentage points. He reduced it by 14 percentage points. But he reduced it by 40%. And anyone in the comment section who's an economist or deals with statistics knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah, and anybody in the comment section, if you could just explain that to me, I don't... He's told me this now twice, and I'm just like, what? Okay.
But
but what does Marx say about it?
There's just even when we had the receipts and the maths, he didn't want to accept it. And again, the best thing to do is you pay $100 on 35% in 2016, and then you pay $100. You pay tax on $100 on 21% in 2017, and how much in what you paid in taxes?
Wait, so you carry the 2 and then divide it by 19?
So no, it's simply saying, look, okay, I'll make it simpler.
Oh, good. The bigger
no, look, basically what it's saying is that...
I want to see a whiteboard show of this now.
No, it's basically what it's saying.
We need to rent
that,
a...
Look, Tim, if in 2016 you pay $34 on your $100, yeah? How much in tax have you paid? What's the percentage number?
34%.
Yes. And if in 2017 you pay $17 on your $100, What's the tax number that you paid?
17.
17. How much have the taxes that you paid fallen by?
What was the first number?
34.
Oh, I see. So
Do you see what I mean?
50%. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is the situation.
God. Okay.
And I fucking, you know what I mean? And when you know it, now as Tim knows it, it's clear as day. He didn't want to accept it. I don't know.
No, of course not. Because you're an educated black man. And, you know, I know that we were trying to be a bit more subtle about it, but at the end of the day, this is the guy. I mean, he's outwardly racist, but in like a way that's just like, you know, it's just some weird shit that your uncle says at Thanksgiving dinner, and you're just like, oh,
out of touch uncle.
Oh fuck, man, he did it again.
Yeah,
just
he did it again.
It's like, oh, that cheeky fucking bastard, just screaming about how Mexicans took away his job. Like, you know, like, oh well, you know, but that's what happened there, and you know, again, like, props to you for staying in that group so fucking long, because god damn, I feel like that happened a lot, and like
you show people the facts and the receipts, you give people numbers, and they still don't want to believe you because you are on the other side. You know, you don't matter. You're not in their group. They're all that matters in their solipsistic world.
You're just an NPC. Like, what the fuck could you know? Get out.
Yeah.
You need to get the fuck out of this Lord of the Rings MMORPG.
Get the fucks out, man.
Get the fucks up on outs. He's trying to play his World of Warcraft and eat some like fucking spicy mayonnaise. That's just normal mayonnaise.
Spicy mayonnaise. You get oxymoronic here, man. I can't comprehend that shit.
I mean, it's spicy to white people. I had to grow accustomed to mayonnaise. It's just like, oh man, this shit's too spicy, man.
Goddamn.
I better not tell my mom that I'm eating this mayonnaise. She'll think that I turned into a Mexican.
What the fuck? How did those two link together? Do Mexican people even like spicy food that much?
I don't think... Yeah, but do they like mayonnaise? I think is the bigger question.
I think they do. I think they use mayonnaise in burritos.
Sour cream. You know, I'm just shocked that you would think that Mexicans eat mayonnaise. They eat sour cream. It's different.
I'm sure there's mayonnaise in there somewhere. Like every ethnicity, even black people, we don't mention it, but we have mayonnaise with some things. So like, I don't know, for burgers or salads. You know what I mean? Potato salad.
Hair treatment. I found that out.
That's for white people, though.
Mayonnaise and for a hair.
I think it's not. That's what white people use. Not maybe like other like non-whites.
It actually sounds like a white person hair treatment. I just saw it in this black lady salon. Don't ask me why I was there.
Okay, all right. If you saw it there, then hey.
And there was a black lady on the front, so I just thought, like, you know.
Look at you making assumptions, stereotypes.
I mean, if the product's for white people, there's normally a white person on the front.
Fair dues.
You know, like butter. But
what do you mean?
Wait.
Why? We all gotta have some fucking bar.
No, that's true. But why is there a white person on it then?
Fair point. But no,
clearly it's just made for white people. I think it's exclusive.
But no, like, you know, I mean, like, you know, we're just having this discussion, and you know, we thought we'd do like a chat on this because it was something somewhat close to our hearts. I don't know if I'd describe it like that, but it was something personal, and in a way, when we take a step back and look, we see how it's kind of indicative of the times and the zeitgeist of today, I would, you know, dare say. And, you know, just like, you know, kind of wrapping up on it, we spoke about, like, you know, it works in stages. You know, if you come from this sheltered conservative background, these traditional views of life and where your place is in it, you go to China and you get, you know, people calling you beautiful and handsome every other minute, and, you know, being very polite to you because they know that being polite to you can help them make money. It's not necessarily about you. You don't hold intrinsic value for being white. It's only instrumental.
Knickknacks at a very overpriced value. So
like, you hold like instrumental value in being white, but then some of these people mistake it for intrinsic value and think, I'm just my whiteness is, you know, a gift in itself. Subconsciously or or consciously. Then, you know, you've kind of found yourself in this awkward situation where the expat crowd has other people who don't think like you and don't look like you and are in your space and at times challenging your views. And, you know, some people retreat and double down like that. They feel like they're cornered. And then, you know, it kind of extends into different forms of solipsism and like racial solipsism in particular. But then another point we wanted to make more so that we want to kind of end this on is the
Going into
idea
the future, man.
going into the future,
Yeah, time machine.
expat environments where you have, you know, people from all over the world, foreigners from all over the world in to make what is known as the expat crowd in different cities across the world. Is that going to be America?
The future of the majority minority.
Yeah.
You know, like the expat community around the world is a good example of where this place is going to be, or where America is going to be once that precipice emerges, once the paradigm shifts, where white people are no longer the majority.
Yeah, exactly. In terms of like, the expat crowd that we see here in China and what we experience in that WeChat group, where there were certain people on there, like this British dude, we called him Tough Man, who,
tough.
you know, back in the UK, I think he grew up in like, you know, somewhat of a privileged like background. He probably barely interacted with black people.
He probably
people of
never,
color.
ever.
Yep. But then, you know, he found himself in China and he found himself doing that, and suddenly, like, black and non-white issues became more of a concern to him. Not necessarily in the best way, but it became a concern to him because he's occupying a different space. And it just seems like these expat crowds that we're experiencing, where everybody is just from so many different parts, is that the future of the minority-majority nation? And how does the United States or certain parts of Europe at later stages, how do they reconcile with that?
Oh, exactly. Yeah. And the tough man had a weird obsession with trans folks using the bathroom. Like, he just really was concerned with where these trans folk were taking a potty. You know, it was just really weird. I think that's the future of the majority minority for white people, is just being oddly concerned with where people are taking a potty. I think at the end of the day, go ahead and tell us your expat experience, you know, like what, or like international communities, like what's your experience with this? Are we wrong? Is there an expat community out there that's absolutely not like this, that's completely devoid of any of these run-ins, you know?
Yeah. No, give us a viewpoint on your expat experience, even for those who aren't expats and they're just like, you know, maybe growing up in a multicultural space at college or in their local city, and they find themselves in these situations for the first time. You know, give us your thoughts on those. If you like agree with us or disagree with us, give us a shout. You know, maybe we can like, you know, discuss further about it. And also, because that's the thing. One thing I do agree with like some of the conservatives on is that I don't think it's a adverse issue, but I do think it's an issue. The fact that like the demographics of so many different countries in the West are changing so drastically.
And also, what the fuck is up with hair mayonnaise? Like, can somebody tell us about that? Please leave us the comments, man. Like, this is two Tims talking trash.
Yeah.
We're out.
Nice.